Welcome, class of 2022 families. This presentation is being brought to you by our counseling department, and I, Tiffany Geek, will be covering the first portion, and I will pass it off to my colleague, Paul Stordahl, for the second half. You can access this presentation and other pertinent resources on our school website and navigating with the information provided on this slide. There are also live links throughout this presentation that will assist with your exploration and preparation for post-secondary planning. Although we acknowledge and support any and all post-secondary options for our students, our goal in this presentation is to explain the services we provide in our district as well as inform you of the college process. We plan to cover the following topics and point you to resources that will assist during your junior year. Our counseling staff is listed here for contact information moving forward. In the event that you have any follow-up questions, you are welcome to reach out to your student's respective counselor or access Mrs. Keeney in the College and Career Center. And now that we're back on campus for most of us this term, we plan to meet with our juniors this spring to cover a lesson on post-secondary options and financial aid, and the importance of completing the FAFSA, which stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. All our advising sessions are available on your student's Google Classroom. It's under Class of 2022 for your reference. Counselors are also planning to send home a graduation and A through G status letter this February to aid in senior course planning. Counselors will also plan to meet with your students in March to review their course selections and advise accordingly based on their post-secondary goals. What juniors should be doing? Counselors are supporting students to meet their A through G requirements, as we also encourage students to reach out if they have any questions or in need of remediating any requirements. SAT and ACT are not going to be requirements for the UC system for the class of 2022, and we've yet to receive updated information for the CSU system or out-of-state schools. Currently, the CSU system has temporarily suspended the use of the ACT and SAT only through the spring of 2022 application cycle. So if students have the ability to take them, and if there is a nearby test-taking facility, there is no harm in doing so. It will not negatively impact you either way. If you are able to take them, it may assist in course placement at the college. If students are contemplating what type of post-secondary experience they want to participate in, they can do some research through College Board and the californiacolleges.edu. And lastly, students who are interested in participating in D1 or D2 sports in the college, they will want to register for the Eligibility Center. Once they have registered, our school then uploads transcripts to the Eligibility Center upon completion of their junior year. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to your counselor. We reference A through G all the time, and here's a quick reference listed here. They are minimum subject requirements for entrance into the CSU, UC, and many private schools. They are comprised of 15 college prep classes. You're able to find this information in all of our A through G course selections in our Granite Bay course catalog within the first few pages of the course catalog. And students are advised with these requirements through our grade level advising, as well as our registration advising and one-on-one meetings. Here they are listed by subject area, and note these are considered minimum requirements listed. Depending on where students apply, they may want to expand beyond the minimum 15 courses listed here. Many of the top-tiered, very competitive campuses, students are taking upward to 22, 25 college prep courses. Also noted here, students need to have a C- or above in the respective courses. And if not, there is remediation options available through Grade Recovery, which is offered fall, spring, and summer. And please reach out to your counselor if that's something that you'd be interested in doing. The UC and CSU public institutions in California, the UC system, there are 9 campuses, therefore definitely more competitive because there are fewer of them. The admission requirements are a little bit more laborious for our students as they have additional criteria needed, which we'll go into in just a few minutes. As well as the students are looking at an overall comprehensive review in that admissions process. The CSU system, there are 23 campuses available in California, which makes it a little bit more readily available for our students. They do tend to gravitate and cater towards the geographical local area first. And it is also very objective in approach. It's very formula driven with the GPA in students A through G classes with beginning in the grade of 10. And they're looking at their overall best SAT or ACT scores as well. And the exception of this would be Cal Poly, who tends to lean a little bit more towards that comprehensive review approach. So listed here in comparing the two, you can recognize that once again, that comprehensive holistic approach with the UC system, the GPA is slightly higher with a minimum of a 3.0. Because of the comprehensive approach, students who tend to do well, not only academically, but also through their extracurriculars could definitely benefit from the application. You can certainly check with each campus to see how they do their comprehensive review. The strength of curriculum must be maintained through the course of students' 4 years in high school, and the extracurriculars could range from sports and band and clubs and work, etc. There also is personal insight questions where students have an opportunity to reflect and share more about who they are and what they've accomplished throughout their high school experience. It is an essential part of the application because it provides context to the student and value to their overall application. The CSU system, as mentioned, is very cut and dry with an objective approach with the GPA and test scores, very formula driven. Those are the only two factors as they calculate and determine students' eligibility. Also note there is a super score option. So if a student does take an SAT or ACT more than once, they take the highest combined scores from separate sittings to benefit the student in the overall application process. Also note, there are no letters of recommendations that are required for either the UC or CSU system. There have been some major changes through the UC admission process due to COVID, and it does still impact our current juniors as they experienced opportunities for a pass or no pass grading option in the spring of last year. So they've, once again, the UC system is noting that they will pass grades or credit grades will not be calculated into the GPA, nor will they receive honors credit for the GPA if they did take an honors or AP class, although it does show, and it is a positive light for students because it does show that they are challenging themselves. And also UC is also recognizing that if a student chose pass or credit, that would be equivalent to a C- or above. So students still will be maintaining their A through G status and meeting minimum requirements as well. This survey illustrates what are the leading factors for admission acceptance and decisions. And as you can see here, the top three are grades in all classes, grades in college prep classes, which we consider A through G courses, and the strength of curriculum over the span of their 4 years. So this is important as students continue to course plan for their senior year and prepare for their college application process next fall. Community colleges are a great option for students to begin their college experience directly out of high school. In addition, they can also access classes this summer through their academic enrichment program, also at no cost. Listed on the slide outlines the few steps necessary to attend the community college at no cost for the first 2 years. This is an affordable option for students who plan to transfer to a 4-year institution and need to focus on their financial needs only for a 2-year window, and or allow students to be in less debt as they may continue even beyond a 4-year bachelor degree. Transfer agreements are in place within the California universities to allow students guaranteed admission to specific schools. Students will want to be in communication with their community college counselor while enrolled to make sure that they are taking appropriate transferable courses. You can also check out assist.org to learn what courses are needed at the community college for specific majors at certain 4-year institutions. The UC TAG agreement only excludes Berkeley, UCLA, and San Diego. In addition, the CSU system degree with a guarantee does not guarantee admission necessarily to a specific campus, but just to the CSU in general, but are both great options for students to transfer on. In addition to community colleges, There's great job training programs as well. They have firefighter academies, clinical medical assisting programs that offer internship experience and an opportunity to start their profession in just, up to 3 semesters. While there are certifications for professional careers where you're only taking selective courses, which could be minimal, that are directly related to prepare you for a specified profession. Programs are fully mapped out and aligned with further education and career advancement. We have listed our local community colleges for your reference to check out their programs that they offer. I am now going to pass it on to Mr. Stordahl. Thank you very much.
Yes, hi, this is Paul Stordahl, school counselor at Granite Bay High School. I am tag teaming on the second half of this presentation. So we're going to talk about college applications and other important terms and College and Career Center resources and some other resources that will be beneficial in helping work with your student as they navigate from junior to senior year in a very busy fall term from a college admissions perspective. So let's talk about some of the other applications other than Cal State and UC's, which are kind of their own common applications. So here's some other common platforms. So there's a common application. There's like over 900 colleges that use this. Coalition application, not as popular, and SendEDU. So all of these are potential platforms that your student may be using next year in the senior year. They're helpful, especially if they're applying to more than one school under one of those umbrellas. Save some time just completing one application and submitting them to multiple schools potentially. Also provide the luxury of them being able to communicate who their recommenders are for letters of rec, their counselor to upload transcripts, etc. for them. So that's an important piece for students to make sure they're taking care of that information accurately. Typos could, be disastrous because then they may not get into the account of the people needed. And if they're not in their account, then they can't do the work on their behalf. So really need to be very detail oriented on making sure the information is correct as far as names, email address, etc. of the counselor, teachers, etc. in order to get into their accounts. It's also helpful for the student to communicate with those recommenders in advance before they do this, so that teacher counselor's not getting an email prompt saying, hey, so-and-so is requesting your recommendation. And if they haven't even had that conversation, that's kind of a bit awkward. So anyways, just kind of coach them up on that too, if need be. When it comes to being able to arm those with necessary information to help them do a good job of writing a letter of rec, it's important that students complete a personal profile that we have available on our counseling website. It's a series of prompts. If they answer them, it will be beneficial. That information should then go to their counselor and or teachers to arm them with helpful information to do a great job. Some other information about when requesting letters of recommendation to allow a minimum of 2 weeks. Things can get very backlogged for counselors and for teachers too, by the way, and be sensitive to breaks. That should not be a part of that 2-week window. Students need to sign the FERPA, the Family Educational Rights section, to waive their rights. That's what's recommended. Otherwise, colleges aren't going to give as much weight to letters of recs, etc. So they should waive their rights. That's what's recommended. And also, you want to make sure that you know that they will not see their letter of recs. Surely not from us as counselor. That's kind of a department policy. And it's in accord with what colleges expect. They don't want students to see their letters of rec. And I think for obvious reasons. So college applications continue. If you could please inform your students too that if they have plans to apply to colleges but they change, to make sure they alert counselors, teachers if they were requested to complete work on their behalf, because that would be wasted work if they're actually not going to follow through and complete those applications. So that would be helpful. Please help us with that. There are a lot of other colleges that don't use any of those platforms, so it's important that students go to their website and do their research and access the applications through their website and do all of what is required there. Remember that official test scores must be sent from the testing agency. So we're talking about SATs, ACTs, maybe subject tests. So even if they're on a transcript, they're not considered official. So if any colleges are requiring an SAT or ACT or subject test, students need to go directly to the testing agency and request those documents to be sent on to those colleges. Very different with the AP-IB scores. Those you don't send. So they're not a part of the application process other than self-reporting them on the application. You can do that. But really you only want to send your score to the one college you end up going to. That's the only time it's necessary. So after you've gone through the whole process, been accepted, pick up the offer of acceptance, then that would be the time to go ahead and order up your AP-IB scores and have them sent off. A little bit of information about applying early. There are early options for many of the colleges that are out there to apply early. And if you apply early, you get an earlier decision, quite a bit earlier, typically by December. You usually apply in mid-October to early November, get a decision in December, way earlier than the typical timeline, which can be March, April sometimes, as far as getting decisions from other schools under the regular time frame. So some of the terms: early action. Early action is non-binding. So that means you don't have to go if you are accepted. So you can apply to multiple early action schools if you want. Then there's restricted early action, which there aren't very many schools that actually offer this. Stanford, I believe, still offers this. That's one exception. The thing that's unique about this is that really you can't apply anywhere else if you're applying restricted early action. You should only be applying to that school, even though it is non-binding. You're restricted from applying early action or early decision to any other college. Early decision is the one binding decision here. So you would never apply to more than one school early decision. You shouldn't be doing that. Really what you're saying if you're applying early decision is that you are committed to going to that college if you are accepted. So you really need to take that to heart. It's a big decision when you're applying early decision. Finding the right fit. This is something that's important when you're talking about the myriad of colleges that are out there. How do you find a good fit college? And good fit, I think, is a singular term, but really it's like good fits, I think, is a better term, because there are many schools that are likely a good fit, but there's also a lot of other schools that probably aren't a very good fit. So, how do you try to tease through all of those college options and try to figure out, which ones may be a good fit? That's really doing some research, and not just looking at names and name brands, but doing your research. A lot of good college search sites that can help you in that process with filters to find out, what's important to you. Is it a big college campus, a small one, moderate? What about location, weather, clubs, Division I programs? Do they have the things that appeal to you in the way of clubs, etc.? So, there are a lot of good searches that can help you figure that thing out. And of course, major is important too, right? Do they have the program that you're looking for? So a lot that we've talked about tonight for juniors, going to be seniors, and you as junior parents going to be on that journey with your student. So utilize college search options is one of the ways that we just talked about. Visiting colleges could be virtually, some are just too far away. And go onto the college websites. There's some virtual tours quite often if you can't actually get there. Attend visits, a lot of information on our campus. That would be in the College and Career Center or virtually. It's the reality with COVID. There's a lot more that's being offered virtually. Encourage your student to be organized. Maybe create spreadsheets or whatever. Keep track of all the schools and putting in information for all of those. Maybe get a jump start on their applications and their essays over the summer. You provide some information on some of those essays so they could see them and start working on those early. They'll be grateful if they do, because that will cut down on work in the fall. All of senior years is very, very busy. So they'll be thankful if they can knock some of that stuff out over the summer. And just some deadline information for the application from Cal State's MAUC system. What's available in the College and Career Center? A lot, as you can see. We have test prep information, we have speaker programs, students can sit in on those. We have a lot of resources for helping with applications and researching colleges, career assessments, scholarship information, filling out FAFSA, etc., military stuff, work permits, etc. So a lot of information there in the College and Career Center. Check out their website. We have a speaker program. This is also through the College and Career Center, alluded to it. So a lot of people coming in. Some of this is more virtual now, of course, but hopefully we'll start getting more of them on campus. So be tracking the College and Career Center. She also sends information out through the bulletins as well. We do offer evening programs in our district. Why out of state? This is the Western undergraduate. We have a slide devoted to that, so I'll talk about that shortly. We have college fair in the spring, different college fair also in the spring, so a couple in the spring, one in the fall. Military Academy night in the fall, so that's important if a student is pursuing an academy, a military academy. There's particular things that you need to get done, so you really want to attend the military academy night if that's something a student's interested in. And then financial aid workshops kind of help with the FAFSA and also learning more about scholarship opportunities. And here's a slide devoted to financial aid, some information. I'll let you read through that. Don't really have the time. Kind of self-explanatory. A lot of resources on our website as well, and the College and Career Center's website about financial aid that you can read through that could be beneficial. The WUI, Western Undergraduate Exchange, some students' parents find this very attractive, that there are some out-of-state schools in the western states that offer reduced out-of-state tuition for students that qualify, and that's important. So you want to click on the website, find out which schools are on that list, and what the criteria is, because the criteria can vary. It's not a standard criteria for all of the schools. Some sample participants is noted there as well. Helpful websites, doing college searches, application websites, Cal State UC, Common App, financial aid and scholarship websites, information there, and athletic websites. Your students can play Division I or Division II sports, or a smaller school like NAIA. There are requirements that need to be met, so it's important to go to those websites and find out what those are so that they don't miss out. With that ends our presentation. Please reach out to your student's counselor if you have further follow-up questions. And thank you for coming out this evening, and all the best the rest of the year. Take care.